If you or a family member have been hurt because of the careless actions of another person, call Walker, Texas Lawyer. They'll work to get you the financial compensation and justice you deserve. They have 40 years of experience, and you don't pay unless you win. Call 713-881-9653 today for a consultation or go to walkertexaslawyer.com.
Oh, Brad, what have you done now?
Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The legendary Mr. Christopher Lloyd. Christopher, how are we doing?
I'm doing good. Great introduction.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
Kelly Ripa.
Brad, thank you for having me.
Comedy.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias.
Good morning.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking to talk, you me funny lad.
Grammy Award winner Maya joins us.
How are you?
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat, Brad Gilmore.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to ESPN 97.5, 92.5 here on the Houston, Texas airways. We have a special guest joining us on the line. He has a brand new documentary called Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations. It's narrated by Matthew Modine. He joins us right now. Ron James. Ron, how you doing?
Great. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you, and I'm sure this has been somewhat of an exciting period for people kind of in your world, for UFO experts, I guess UAP experts, if that's what we're calling them now, with all the congressional hearings going on. What is your make of all this stuff that's been coming out over the last several weeks, if not months?
Well, it's really interesting. I'm in a unique position. We released Accidental Truth on April 18th, and the story that we tell in the film is the same story that has exploded onto the headlines with government officials confirming that we have in our possession craft and have had reverse engineering programs and materials engineering programs. All of that stuff is true. And we point it out in the film.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of insane that we're living in a day and time to where this information is finally coming out, things that we've always speculated on. So for you, where did this start for you? Where did you kind of start getting your feet wet, for lack of a better term, with UFOs and things of that nature?
Well, I own a production company, and in 2007, I was hired to live stream a UFO conference out of Washington, D.C. And I was I started to meet all the people that I'd seen on TV shows. And I realized then that this was the biggest deception ever put forth on humanity. And so I decided that one of the things that I was going to work on in my media career was trying to unveil this secrecy and unveil this deception and reveal the truth.
Well, when you want to have a goal like that, and a lofty goal at that, and kudos to you, and my hat's off to you for wanting to kind of expose the things that we aren't told about on a daily basis. But when you want that to be your goal, where does one start? Like, how do you begin uncovering these truths that have been hidden from the American people?
Well, that started for me in 2007, and over the years, I've accumulated dozens, if not hundreds, of interviews with people throughout government, throughout the experts in the field. And, the story, after a while, if you're in the UFO community and you're somebody who spends time researching this stuff, the story becomes very clear. But then the question is, well, yes, we know this stuff is true, but how do we prove it? And so I got some very, very clever interviews with some people such as Lou Elizondo, the guy that ran the Pentagon program, Christopher Mellon, the ex-Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, who admits in the film that it indirectly admits that there's crash debris programs. We have Dr. Gary Nolan, who has admitted that he's studied materials that originated off planet. And we have some government documents to back it up that we present that actually admit that the government's had materials from crashed UFOs that they've been studying since the 40s and before. And so the accidental truth kind of weaves the story together for anybody that really wants to know the truth about the UFO thing, and they don't want to be wasting their time with tinfoil hat rhetoric. It's actual documentary.
Yeah, Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations, narrated by Matthew Modine. In regards to the debate now of calling them going from UFOs to UAPs, what's your assessment on that, and what do you think the ideology is behind making that change?
Well, the phrase UAP is actually not new. It was coined back in the 40s, but it seems like when they broke this thing out in 2017, part of what they wanted to do is kind of rebrand it so that the term UFO, has a stigma to it, and so it was easier to call them UAP. It was a modern vernacular for an ancient situation, and it enabled them to kind of go on with a fresh start and not turn so many heads.
And when it comes to some of the evidence, I've read certain things and looked at, interviews with Bob Lazar and people of that nature where you hear some of the projects that are being worked on. What, in your estimation, has been some of the best evidence that somebody can look at if you're trying to convince them and kind of get them on the train of there are extraterrestrials or whatever you want to call them out there?
Well, it's interesting that you bring that up because we don't know for sure that they're extraterrestrial, such as nuts and bolts aliens from another planet. I assume that that is probably part of it. And I'm also the media relations director for MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO Network. And we've studied this for 55 years now. It appears that there's multiple phenomena at work and maybe life forms that we don't even understand. So the evidence that is coming forth, a lot of it is in government admissions of stuff. Excuse me. In Accidental Truth, we point out that the government released an answer to a Freedom of Information Act request in 2018, where they admitted that they have crash debris and materials that have been recovered from UFOs by members of the Department of Defense, and they released documents about what those materials were and what they think the materials might do. And then there's a couple of materials that are actually that we have now that are part of business and industry that the government has finally admitted came from uncertain origins.
So when you hear terms thrown out there now, like, during the hearings, the terminology saying that the U.S. recovered non-human biologics, what is your assessment of that as an expert in the field?
Well, David Grush was pretty clear that there were craft and that these craft had to be piloted by something, and that some of these entities were non-human. So I would say that that's confirmation that they've recovered, for lack of let's not beat around the bush, alien bodies.
That's what one would assume when they hear that. They would hear that there's actual bodies that were found. Now, as far as evidence of, we've talked about UFOs, and in your documentary, obviously you go into all of this, and we encourage everyone to check it out. Where can people see the documentary?
You can get it on Amazon. You can get it on Apple. You can get it at any place that you'd rent a movie online through your smart TV. It's there.
You can find it. You can definitely find the documentary out there. Again, it's called Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations. As far as, though, when you're looking at all of this information, and then for me, as far as not my knowledge base, I'm probably like most people. I get stuff from films and television shows and things of that nature. This is more of a curiosity on my end. Has there been a movie or television show that you feel gets it right in terms of this is the most accurate representation with the information that we know of what a UFO might actually operate as?
That's a really good question. There's been a lot of episodes of Ancient Aliens where they've really kind of hit the nail on the head. And, the Hunt for Skinwalker Ranch right now is starting to show some of these UAPs. And these programs are basically being put out there to disseminate this information. And there's one that was just released about the TR-3B, which is supposedly a craft that the government actually has. It's an anti-gravity flying triangle that supposedly has been around for a long time. So there's some movies out there that do tend to encapsulate what we've seen, but the only one film that I think really lays it out, and I hate to toot my own horn, but it's the one I made, It takes you from the Roswell days all the way until now, and it points out everything that's happening that we're seeing happen in the news. These craft appear to have been, some people will say, well, they must be Russian or Chinese or advanced technology of the U.S. But the fact is, these craft, these flying spheres, these saucer-shaped objects, these have been around since we've been able to record them, and probably they've been around for a lot longer than that. Objects in the 40s during World War II were doing things that defied the rules of physics. So it's nothing new, and the idea that we have these things now, that they could be ours, is possible, I suppose. But the idea that we had them in the 1940s, that's a little far-fetched.
Oh, absolutely. And some of the technological advancements that you've seen over the last few decades makes you think that we have some sort of outside influence or being able to reverse engineer these crafts in order to produce such technologies. Now, let me ask you this, too. When it comes to, we talked about extraterrestrial or alien, these UFO crafts, do you feel as though, in your opinion, are they from another planet in your mind, or are they more of interdimensional beings, if you understand the difference? Because some people say that might not be in our galaxy, but other galaxies out there.
Well, we point out in the movie that it's probably all of the above. There very well could be beings that are coming here from another planet that have the ability to, create wormholes and traverse vast distances with technology that we don't understand. And then we also point out what's our definition of life. Interdimensional beings, that gets thrown around a lot, but we don't really understand what that actually means. But we know that it's possible that they would exist. And there's also the idea that there could be some advanced intelligence that's right here on planet Earth that we don't know about.
We're talking to Ron James, of course. New documentary out, Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations, narrated by Matthew Modine. This would be my last one for you, just because I am a layman. I am fascinated, though, by UFOs, and I cannot wait to dive deeper into this, as I'm sure my audience will with Accidental Truth. But as a layman, what is your estimation of what goes on? And I'm sure you get this question all the time, but what is your estimation of what goes on in Area 51? Because it's such a mystery to most people. We're always fascinated by it. Whenever you talk about UFOs, that gets thrown around. What is going on there?
Well, we know for sure that Area 51 was created to develop and test advanced technology. The stealth fighter was developed there. The SR-71 Blackbird was developed there. But also the government would have to have a place to store these vehicles and to do research on them. And there's plenty of stories about otherworldly craft being housed at Area 51 and the areas that surround it. So I would imagine that those stories are true. If they have recovered craft, and we have definite reason to believe they have, then they're going to have to take them somewhere, and they're going to build an entire infrastructure to study them. And so Area 51 was a prime candidate for being that place.
Well, there you have it. This is the man. This is the expert himself, Ron James. Again, the new documentary, Accidental Truth, UFO Revelations, narrated by Matthew Modine. Ron, thank you so much for taking the time and answering some of the questions that we're all wondering, and I'm sure more revelations are going to be coming out in the coming months and years.
Oh, I could tell everybody, hold on to your seats because it's going to get crazy.
Well, hopefully we can talk again as it gets crazier, Ron. We appreciate you taking the time.
Yep, I'm always available. Thank you.
Have a good one, Ron.
Thank you.
Hurry up, tape running out.